Welcome, race fans. We have made it to number one, the greatest Indy 500 of all time, at least that I have seen. But to be quite honest, I've talked to many people who have watched the Indy 500 a lot longer than I have, and most agree this is the greatest Indy 500 of all time, bar none. 2014. This race was incredible start to finish. It had a little bit of everything. It had long green flag runs. It had pit strategy. It had great drivers dicing it out for the win. It had a big crash among front runners. It had a duel to the finish among two of the best drivers to race in the sport at the time. Literally anything you could have possibly asked for in an Indy 500, this race had it. Let's go to the start of the race. We see a 149 lap green flag run. It is the longest green flag run in the history of the race and the longest run to start a race ever in a race that did not go cautionless. This was incredible start to finish. Not to say that there weren't chances. There were drivers running out of fuel, Tony Kanaan being one of them, drivers breaking down, drivers dicing it up throughout the field. There were many opportunities for yellow flags in that first 149 laps. It just did not happen. In that case, we had the front runners start to separate. Those front runners being Ryan Hunter-Reay, Helio Castroneves, Marco Andretti, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe, and Ed Carpenter. Those guys had separated themselves from the field. It was very evident by the time we got to about lap 120 or so. One of these six drivers would win the race. And that's insane. We're 110, 120 laps into this race, and there are still six drivers that, if nothing happens, could all go for the win. Finally, we get a yellow on lap 149. That brings out the caution, closes up the field. We get another one shortly thereafter. And then on lap 160, as the green flag comes out yet again, we see the front runners really dicing it up at the front of the field. And this being James Hinchcliffe, Ed Carpenter, and Townsend Bell are going three wide into one. It did not work out. Townsend Bell touches on the inside of James Hinchcliffe in what Hinch and Carpenter would consider later on an ill-advised move by Townsend Bell. Takes out Ed Carpenter, takes out James Hinchcliffe. Townsend Bell does continue on, but two of the six front runners are gone. We are now down to four that are going to have a shot to win this race. Those four being Townsend Bell, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Helio Castroneves, and Marco Andretti. Green flag comes out again. We get a few laps of green flag racing before a hard hit into turn two, which damages the safer barrier on lap 191, involving Townsend Bell. It seems like he probably had some damage from the previous incident. Something finally lets go. He slams the wall on two, causing safer barrier damage. This brings out a red flag. We are now down to three. We are down to Ryan Hunter-Reay, Helio Castroneves, and Marco Andretti in an 8-lap shootout. The green flag finally comes out with 7 to go. We have a 7-lap shootout for the win of the Indianapolis 500, and these guys do not let off. It is Ryan Hunter-Reay and Helio Castroneves battling back and forth lap after lap after lap. And it bears some mention here that Marco Andretti, although never really in the fight for the lead, did seem to have a car that could compete for the win. He just, with these cars going side by side, lap after lap after lap, he couldn't find a way through. He couldn't get that draft because these two kept battling it out and kind of ruining Marco Andretti's draft and a chance to go. He unfortunately was settled to third and couldn't get past these cars. That's where he would finish this race. As Helio and Hunter-Reay battled with about 5 laps to go, it became very obvious these cars were perfectly evenly matched, and the driver that wanted it the most was going to win this day. They were evenly matched. They were making amazing moves into turn 1, on the backstretch, on the front stretch, into turn 3, in the short chute, in the north chute. Anywhere that you could make a pass, passes were being done. As we come to the white flag lap, Coming out of 3 with 2 to go, coming down to the white flag, it looks like Helio has this in hand. He's not giving a lot of room. Hunter-Reay has been trying for more than a lap to get by, can't do it. Hunter-Reay makes a daring move to the inside of 3, on the grass almost, coming into 3, to take the lead, coming to the white flag lap. As the white flag falls, Helio Castroneves gets into slipstream, tries to make a move into 1, can't get it done. As they come to the backstretch, Helio closes yet again. As they come out of 4, Helio is closing right on the back wing of Ryan Hunter-Reay. And as they reach the stripe, Helio pops out to try to make a move. Too little, too late. Ryan Hunter-Reay wins the 2014 Indianapolis 500 in what most would consider the greatest Indy 500 of all time. I was lucky enough to be in the stands to see this, and lucky enough to talk to many old timers who have been around since the 50s, 60s, etc., watching races, and pretty much everyone agrees this is the greatest Indy 500 of all time. That's going to conclude our list of top 10 Indy 500s. I hope you've enjoyed this series. Stay tuned for more.